They don't need to be good at their jobs because they've conditioned the cult, the run-of-the-mill voters in the MAGA world. They've conditioned them to just believe anything they're told. Pam Bondi is not good at her job. And I don't mean good at her job as the Attorney General of the United States and the head of the Department of Justice, because that, after all, that's not her real job. That's Stephen Miller's job. He's the one who calls the shots and pulls the strings to control Miss Pam Bondi. We're talking about her job of covering for Donald Trump, her job of providing some kind of concealment for him to hide under from his credible accusations of abusing children. We'll use very PG language here so YouTube doesn't restrict this video, because Google, we're finding out, is also in the business of covering for Donald Trump. Let's start with the hearing yesterday before the Senate Judiciary Committee, providing the oversight that is constitutionally mandated. After all, the executive branch of the United States government is not an island unto itself. It has two other co-equal branches that it must answer to, as designed by our founders, with the many checks and balances. And yesterday, as part of this oversight and the questioning of the different policies that took place, that are currently taking place under the Trump administration, we're going to start with Adam Schiff, the senator from California, asking Pam Bondi, the head of the Department of Justice, about the alleged $50,000 bribe that is apparently on camera of the border czar, Tom Homan, you know, the mushmouth dildo with ears. Did he accept this money? Her answer proves just how bad at her job she is.
You did, but in case I just didn't hear you, what is the answer? Did he take the money?
Senator Schiff, that happened prior to my confirmation as Attorney General. I said that.
Do you know, sitting here, whether
all
he took
I
the
know
money?
is that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and FBI Director Patel said there was no case. And Caroline Leavitt is one of the most trustworthy human beings I know.
So
and,
was she,
was she
if
you worked for me, you would have been fired because you were censured by Congress for lying with your
we can stipulate to, you can stipulate to all your personal attacks on the Democratic members of the committee.
Personal attacks? You've been attacking my FBI director. You've been attacking my office. You've been attacking.
But what we're interested in,
borders are.
What we're interested in is the answer to these oversight questions.
You were asked
by my colleague. You were asked by my colleague.
Attacking good people.
Regular order, Madam Chair, so I can ask a question.
Not good at her job. Even if I was critiquing her job as Attorney General here, she's not good at that either. I mean, she's a lawyer. Presumably, she's a lawyer. She's gone to law school. She's passed the bar for at least the state of Florida. And here she is saying, he says, did he take the money? That happened before my confirmation hearing. What relevance is that, Pam? What relevance is when the crime took place relative to whether it took place? And when you just openly admit that happened before, you're not really beating the allegations against the Trump administration and the hand-chosen border czar, again, the aforementioned mushmouth dildo with ears, Tom Homan. Also, Caroline Leavitt is the most honest person you know. You're already off on a bad foot, sister. We know Caroline Leavitt. She is among the worst liars that have ever been employed by Donald Trump. And that's saying something. But with McEnany and Huckabee Sanders and Sean Spicer, we've seen a litany of liars work for Donald Trump. And also, Caroline Leavitt isn't some investigatory body of the United States of America. She has no law enforcement authority. She's a paid talker. For her to just proclaim that he never took the money when he himself doesn't deny that he took the money, it says everything we need to know. The parade of bad at her job continued. I talked about this yesterday, but this drum needs to be beaten to death here. And that is the Epstein connection between Donald Trump and the sex trafficking of children, the criminal enterprise of Jeffrey Epstein, and who knows who else. And the reason I say who knows who else is because they won't release the files. They won't let us know what Donald Trump's involvement is or was, and who else was involved. We don't know. They won't tell us. And when asked about this, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse asked specifically about rumors and testimony from people that Donald Trump is in photos with half-naked young women, I believe he says. We don't know the ages. If it's an Epstein-connected thing, unlikely that it's young women. And she flips out, does not answer, rather than just say, no, of course not. Donald Trump's not in any photos that were in the possession of Jeffrey Epstein that he used to show to people containing half-naked girls. She does not say that. Instead of saying, no, they don't exist, she freaks out, which tells us more than just silence would. Watch this.
Let me ask you something else. There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs in their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise? Have you seen any such thing?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
The question is, did the FBI find those photographs that have been discussed publicly by a witness who claimed Jeffrey Epstein showed them to him? You don't know anything about that. Okay.
This is how denials work. Sheldon Whitehouse has said unequivocally, flatly, that's untrue. I have not received any campaign donations from the person she's making the accusation of. That's how a denial works. A denial is not this. All he asked was, do you know if the FBI found these photos? Have you seen these photos? That's the question. Why the consternation? Why the fit throwing? Why the obstruction? Why the anger? If there's no photos, the answer is no, the FBI have found no such photos. That's the answer. Why? You just love to hate Donald Trump. You hate our cult leader. If there's no photos, there's no photos. That's the answer. If there was no contribution, a political contribution made, the answer is, yeah, I don't know that guy. He never gave to my campaign. That's a lie. That's how a denial works. Apparently, you're so bad at your job, you don't even know how to do that, Pam Bondi. Whether it be the Department of Justice head, whether it be just high priestess in the cult of Donald Trump, you're bad at it all. And this kind of is the situation we find ourselves in, where it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy with MAGA world. They don't need to be good at their jobs because they've conditioned the cult, the run-of-the-mill voters in the MAGA world. They've conditioned them to just believe anything they're told, to adopt the idea that they're told as reality. So they don't need to be good. They don't need to be squirrely or wily or some other invective of what a liar would be. They don't need to do that because they've conditioned the low information, unwashed horde of Fox News viewers to just go along like automatons and follow along with what they're told, yearning for the boot of tyranny upon their necks.
I look at people with very low IQs like Crockett, this woman Crockett. I never met her, but she's a low IQ individual.
Whenever Donald Trump gets cornered just a little bit, he kind of reverts to what's comfortable for him. You know, the saying that water rolls downhill, it takes the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance for Donald Trump is vile racism. And it is amazing to me that he acts as though he doesn't care about black women in this case. They're of no importance to him. He's president of the United States, yet they live rent-free inside the cavernous confines of Donald Trump's empty fucking dome. Constantly talking about it, constantly thinking about black women, because at his core, at his basest of bases, he is a racist, a demagogue, a white supremacist who leads the most vital and powerful white supremacy organization on the planet, the Republican Party. I'm going to start here. Donald Trump was asked about airport delays in the Oval Office yesterday. Airport delays. And not only does he say, oh yeah, those are Democrat delays. He runs the government. Donald Trump controls 2/3 of the government. He controls Congress, the House and the Senate are Donald Trump's, and he controls the executive branch of the United States government. The executive branch of the United States government, which contains the Transportation Department, which he runs. Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, the former reality star turned Fox News talking head, who's now, among other reality stars running the United States government. We're having planes fall out of the sky. The government shutdown is making it worse. And Donald Trump says it's Democrats. Any delays that are happening right now are because of Democrats. Right. And then he turns his ire to a black woman with no navigable segue. There's no understanding of how he got from airport delays, Democrat delays, Jasmine Crockett. I'm sure it makes sense in the vacuous void, again, that is Donald Trump and his brain, but it doesn't make sense to the rest of us. Watch this.
Are you concerned about the delays at airports, and how do you see the shutdown?
Oh, sure. I mean, they're all Democrat delays. There are delays at the airport. That's standard. And again, this is something that every day we put forth a bill. It's just a continuation. It's a very simple thing to sign and very simple to do. And I really think that these are people that I think they have nothing to lose. They have a party that's out of control. They have no leader. Nobody knows who the leader is. I look at people with very low IQs like Crockett, this woman Crockett. I never met her, but she's a low IQ individual. I look at AOC talking about how if they want to negotiate, they can come to my office. She's not in that position to do that. And who the hell is she to say that?
Yeah, that's attacking women of color. Specifically, low IQ Jasmine Crockett, which to be a fly on the wall in any room that Jasmine Crockett is in, talking about, pondering about the attacks from Donald Trump. And let me tell you, nobody feels bad when Donald Trump calls them low IQ, because Donald Trump is the most intellectually incurious president the United States has ever known. And that's saying something, because we've had some dumb shits as president of the United States. This is a guy who hasn't read a book since junior high, maybe even earlier than that. This is somebody who likely didn't even take his own admissions exams to get into college, that his entire path was paved by the money of his father. His entire life of successes and failures were paved by the silver spoon that provided no resistance, no friction to create someone with character. Yet he has the temerity. He has the stupidity to sit there and call someone who is lettered, who is educated, who is accomplished, who is absolutely smart, calling them low IQ. And then as just, I guess, that little bonus, throwing AOC in there and attacking her. This is racism. There's no other way to look at it. The path he took in that answer is the only explanation is white supremacy. It is vile hatred of black people, black women especially, the gravest threat to Donald Trump. And it didn't stop. It wasn't the only time in this particular Oval Office White House press pool questioning session. He's asked a question and he starts rambling about the Democrats having no leaders and that he talked to the leader of Somalia, and he starts being a racist piece of shit about Ilhan Omar, talking about her as though she's not a citizen of this country, talking about her as though she's not a democratically elected individual of the People's House, the Congress of the United States. Vile. Watch this.
Who to speak to. I'll tell you what, I'm getting calls from Democrats wanting to meet. I never even heard their names before, and they're claiming to be leaders. The Democrats have no leader. They remind me of Somalia, okay? You know, and I met the president of Somalia. I told him about the problem he's got. I said, you have somebody from Somalia who's telling us how to run our country. She's from Somalia. He said, would you like to take her back? He said, no, I don't want her. Okay, you know who I'm talking about?
All of that is a lie. One, Democrats are not calling Donald Trump, let's make a deal, sir. With tears in my eyes, I come to you. Oh, dear cult leader. Democrats aren't calling Donald Trump. And for this vile racism that he talked to the president of Somalia and said, you, Somalia, you, president of Somalia, have somebody from Somalia who's telling us how to run our country? Ilhan Omar is a citizen of the United States of America. Full stop. It is her country. She's not telling anybody how to run their country. She's not even telling anybody how to run our country. She is a participant in the governance of this nation, having been elected legally in a free and fair, settled American election, has been made a member of Congress. This is a pylon of MAGA hatred is what this is. This is just open, plain, bald face racism, white supremacy, that bringing up all of the tropes that she can't be a true full American because she's a black woman. She can't be truly a citizen of the country because she emigrated here from another nation and jumped through all of the hoops that were provided her and then became a citizen of the United States. She can't fully be a member of Congress because she's not a Christian. All of these are racist tropes that Donald Trump drags out when he feels a little insecure about the questions that are being asked, whether they be about airport delays that he blames on Democrats, even though he runs the Department of Transportation, that he blames on Jasmine Crockett for some reason because she's a low IQ individual, says the dumb shittiest of dumb shits who've ever dumb shitted Donald Trump. Please.
I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump.
That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration. A simple question as to whether or not they had a legal rationale for deploying National Guard troops becomes grounds for a personal attack.
I really hope that Democrats take a page out of the Republican playbook to give them back what has been delivered to the American people by them. Meaning, when Democrats are back in the White House, and Republicans, hopefully not, but if Republicans are in control of Congress and they have oversight power, when they hold hearings, I hope Democrats act just like Pam Bondi did yesterday. Because if we're setting precedents, if we're going off of what previous administrations have made normal, all right. If this is how it can be done, this is how I guess it should be done. Watching Pam Bondi yesterday was a masterclass in jackassery. It was recalcitrance. It was the entire day. In fact, there's a couple of different moments here where she has predetermined written for her lines that she references before she looks back up to respond to whichever lawmaker is asking her questions, whichever constitutionally mandated provider of oversight was asking questions. She provided no information. It's a lot along the same lines of the question that gets asked of why have Jim Jordan on an interview on CNN? You know he's going to lie. You know he's going to provide no actual information whatsoever. So why do it? It's kind of the same thing. However, sometimes what people don't say, sometimes the questions people refuse to answer give us more information than the answer they would have give if they did answer. We're going to start with Adam Schiff, who really just kind of went through and started listing the questions that she refused to answer, sending her over the edge. And in this clip, I want you to watch her when she's on screen, watch where she's looking, what she's referencing when she comes back to make her snarky little comments, because she doesn't have the brain pan available to her to think quickly in the moment on her feet. She needs pre-constructed talking points to refer to try to distract from the hearing's goals and objectives, again, that are mandated by the Constitution of the United States. Watch Adam Schiff really doing good work here with Pam Bondi.
You were asked whether you were firing career professionals, career prosecutors, just because they worked on January 6th investigations. You refused to answer that question. You were asked by my California colleague whether you believe government officials, like immigration officials, have to abide by court orders. You wouldn't even answer that question. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing.
Oversight?
Excuse me, you can attack me after my time is over.
You've attacked all of us, including President Trump, for your entire career.
You can attack me later, and I know you've got plenty of canned attacks. We've heard them all day today.
Canned attacks on you?
This is supposed to be...
No one needs a canned attack on you.
Regular order, Madam Chair. I'm trying to speak. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing of the Justice Department. And it comes in the wake of an indictment called for by the president of one of his enemies. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing, and it comes in the wake of revelations that a top administration official took $50,000 in a bag, and this department made that investigation go away. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing when dozens of prosecutors have been fired simply because they worked on cases investigating the former president. This is, and now
what
the current
about the
president.
fires in California?
And
do you
this
care
is
about that,
supposed to
Senator
be,
Schiff?
this is supposed to be an oversight hearing in which members of Congress can get serious answers to serious questions about
Are the riots in LA serious?
About the cover-up of corruption, about the prosecution of the president's enemies. And
I think you owe the president an apology.
When will it be
your entire career, frankly.
that the members of this committee on a bipartisan basis demand answers to those questions and refuse to accept
Clearly you're a failed lawyer
refuse
because
to accept,
you don't understand when someone can and cannot answer a question.
Refuse to accept personal slander as an answer to those questions.
Personal slander?
With
Will
that,
you
Madam
apologize
Chair,
to Donald
I yield
Trump
back.
for slandering him?
And that's what the whole role was. That's what the game was about. That was what she was doing there yesterday. Defending Donald Trump. Many moments looking directly into the camera, knowing that at the other end on some television in the White House, Donald Trump was watching. Donald Trump was either approving or disapproving of her performance. And that's exactly what it was. It was a performance. Even Adam Schiff referencing the canned attacks, the canned comments. Well, she's a canned attack. I don't need a canned comment for you. What about the fires in LA? Right. We see you, Pam. We see you. The performance absolutely did continue, unabated. No pushback from the chairman, the Republican chairman of the committee at all, at any point whatsoever. No, at no point banging the gavel, creating order in the chamber, directing the witness. Here's the other thing that I really wish I could see from these people. This is part of the problem. Maybe it's part of the problem with me. I was going to say this is part of the problem with governance and these types. they get into power and they're so adherent to the my good friend across the aisle, this performative action of pretending like they're all friends and we can all just get along and just have different opinions. When that political ship has sailed, we no longer live under that political order that we have for so long. It does not exist anymore, as evidenced by her behavior in this committee. What I would love is for someone like Adam Schiff to say, Madam, do not interrupt me. Madam, shut your mouth when you are in this chamber. You are a guest here. You are required to be here, and we are required to provide oversight. Shut your mouth until you are asked a question. That's where we are. Can we dispense with this congenial, oh, madam, we're gonna have some oversight hearing. You're not going to answer any of our questions, but we're going to still treat you as though you're here in good faith. The next clip is Dick Durbin, senator from Illinois. Two senators here from two separate states that are under literal assault and invasion from Donald Trump. California, Illinois. And Dick Durbin, he wants to know about the dispatchment, the deployment of military troops into Illinois from Donald Trump. What was the predication? What were conversations like? What was the planning like? What went into it? And of course, you won't be surprised to learn, she refused to give any information whatsoever. She refused to allow the constitutionally mandated duty of Congress. She refused to allow them oversight. And it's just allowed. And she just levels her random weird attacks and acts incredulous, all to please the cult leader, Donald Trump.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Madam Attorney General, let me ask you this question. Were you consulted by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Been on this committee for more than 20 years. That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration. A simple question as to whether or not they had a legal rationale for deploying National Guard troops becomes grounds for a personal attack. I think it's a legitimate question. It's my responsibility. She refuses to answer as to whether she had any conversation with the White House about deploying national troops to my state. That's an indication, I'm afraid, where we are politically in this place.
Did you catch it? Did you catch it? Right before she answers the last question about you voted to shut down the government, I wish you loved America as much as, or I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate Donald Trump. That was a preordained line that she looked down on paper, got tracked what she was going to say, and then turned back to answer. Who's writing? Who's writing the bits for Pam Bondi? Is it Stephen Miller? Could be. Very likely, or a Stephen Miller aide. We know, after all, that Stephen Miller is the actual Attorney General of the United States. The non-lawyer Stephen Miller runs the Department of Justice. He runs the State Department. He runs the Homeland Security Department. We know. And this is why they can't answer any questions, because if questions are answered, facts will be come to. The narrative will be uncovered. The reality of what is taking place will be laid bare. When we're in charge again, we need to bring this kind of fire. If this is the new normal, if this is the way they want things to run, let's give it to them. Midterms cannot come soon enough. What do you think? I'd love to know. Please subscribe to this channel on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1.5 million before the end of the year. Unlikely, but possible. With your help, it could happen. You can also like and follow the Facebook page Dollemore Daily. I would appreciate that very much. You can comment below the video wherever you choose to watch it. And you can call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me as always, daily@dollemore.com. These people, these accomplished professionals, Todd Blanche is a multimillionaire from his law practice, and he is okay with completely desecrating his own reputation in service to Donald Trump. Donald Trump. It is so weird how much effort goes in to from these government employees of the Homeland Security Department or the State Department or in this case, the Department of Justice, how much effort and energy they expend to please Donald Trump, to appear on television looking into the barrel of a camera to please the dear leader who happens to watch them on a TV in the White House. Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's former personal attorney, criminal defense attorney, is now, has a high-ranking position in the Department of Justice. And yesterday, he went on Fox News with Hannity to talk about what took place in the committee hearing, the oversight hearing in the United States Senate Judiciary Committee with Pam Bondi. And in this particular moment, he's doing more than just trying to please Donald Trump. He's trying to convince the American people that Pam Bondi did a good job, which is an impossible task because she did not do a great job. She failed on every single metric she fared, except for maybe making Donald Trump feel warm and fuzzy inside, which is, again, what Todd Blanche is trying to do here. I have 2 clips. We're going to begin with what his narrative was, what his mission was, what he was tasked with doing when the interview started, which is pleasing Donald Trump and trying to convince America that she did a good job. It's very ham-fisted, very sloppy. The second clip gets worse, if you can believe it, but it's the same thing that they're driving home. Watch this first one.
Hey, Sean. Yes, I was in Chicago, and I did get caught up. I was so proud of the Attorney General today. She did a phenomenal job representing everything that we're doing at the Department of Justice. And it was just, you've already said it, but it's true.
That wasn't her job, Todd. One, she didn't do a phenomenal job. Oh, it was a phenomenal job. Oh, the Attorney General. Her job was not to represent everything that we're doing at the DOJ. Her job was to sit there and answer questions that were asked of members of the United States Senate under the guise of their oversight duty, their constitutionally mandated oversight duty. It's not a marketing campaign that she's on. It is the proper functioning, the constitutional functioning of our government. A co-equal branch of government has questions for a fellow co-equal branch of government that has, the Senate has been granted oversight. The House has been granted the power of oversight, checks and balances. They have a legislative duty. They have a legislative priority to maybe, if the executive branch isn't doing their job well, is overstepping the bounds of their duties under the Constitution, to write legislation to rein them in. Her job's not marketing. Her job's not making Donald Trump feel good and pointing out how Democrats hate him. Not her job. At the end of the interview, this was the first part of the interview. He wanted to get this point across. In the second, he drives it home even further and really lets his mask slip and says that her job, he loved watching her do her job and making Donald Trump look good. Could it be any more transparent with these freaks? There's also a little number in there about who runs the government, and I think maybe he's confused. Watch this.
And it was just, you've already said it, but it's true. These senators were going after the Attorney General after they refused to open the government They refuse to open the government, and yet they're going after her for these random attacks that have nothing to do with oversight. And I just loved watching her do what she did today, making President Trump look good and really making them realize what major errors they're making right now in the way they're running this country.
Major errors they're making right now in the way they're running the country. Todd Blanche, do you believe the Democrats run the country right now? You are stupider than you look, sir. And that's saying something. You are a moron if you believe that the Democrats who don't control the House of Representatives, that the Democrats who don't control the United States Senate, that the Democrats who aren't in possession of the executive branch of the government, that they run the United States government right now. Do you think that's something Donald Trump wants to hear, that Democrats are in charge, even though they don't hold the majority in either house of our Congress? And they didn't win the election in 2024? Are you saying they did win the election, Todd? Is that what you're saying, Todd? Todd, is that what you're saying, brother? Maybe you just freaked out for a moment because you had to get your one line in that was mandated by the administration, that you just love watching what she did today, making President Trump look good. An impossible task. These people, these accomplished professionals, Todd Blanche is a multimillionaire from his law practice, and he is okay with completely desecrating his own reputation in service to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, a racist, an objectively stupid person, an unintelligent rube. Just because he's got money doesn't mean he's not stupid. He is stupid. Everything he has is either was given to him by his father and then squandered by him through many, many bankruptcies, or now through doubling or tripling his net worth from becoming president of the United States. And the endless grift, the endless conning of MAGA world, whether that be trading cards, tennis shoes, perfume for dudes, whatever, all of it is meant to enrich himself off the backs of the MAGA world. And, foreign countries are getting in on the action too. They want to be looked with favor from Donald Trump, the president, who controls the mechanisms of our government. Reminder, Todd Blanche, it's not the Democrats, it's Republicans.
Men who are high-value men like Stephen Miller take risks. They're brave, they're unafraid, they're confident, and they're on a mission. And they have younger wives with beautiful children. I think I just gave him like a dating recommendation.
The right-wing obsession with masculinity there's really no other way to look at it. Listen, if it weren't for the fact that it is damaging and dangerous to a younger generation who looks at these people on TV and looks at the manosphere online and thinks, oh yeah, this is normal, it really is doing irrevocable damage to younger generations. But aside from that, it's hard to set that aside. It is just comical that these people, these men, these masculine dudes, these alpha males, these steely-eyed warriors who've never served and are not manly at all. They're not traditionally masculine. They're not tough guys. They're little sausage-armed wieners. They're just terrible, every single one of them. They obsess on whether you cross your legs when you sit. They obsess with whether you drink out of a straw. They obsess with all of these things that just don't matter. And they want to build one another up. And that's what we're talking about today. Yesterday on Jesse Waters' show, the Five, whatever dipshit arena show he's on, he went into this thing trying to defend Stephen Miller. I've done a couple videos on it. Stephen Miller was roasted by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman from New York. And apparently it hurt Stephen Miller's feelings so badly, which is great. It's a great outcome. It hurt him so badly, it eroded his confidence so much that Jesse Waters must have been texting with Stephen Miller, the little Nazi puke, and And he must have said, oh, she really got me. She really broke me down, man. You got to help me out, brother. Talk really good about me on your show today. Oh, that must have been what it is, because Jesse Waters really just kind of moved into homoerotic territory, talking about Stephen Miller being a high value man. High value, that he's brave and he's unafraid. He's on a mission. He's confident. And then I guess at some point, Stephen Miller's just like went to Jesse Waters and like just in there. All of that probably just got bleeped. But you can imagine what I'm talking about here, because this is ridiculous. Watch with horror or delight, whichever you choose, Jesse Waters getting real deep with this Republican eroticism. Two, don't forget, mighty alpha males who are traditionally masculine.
He is a policy savant. I mean, this guy is confident. He battles CNN with grace and with class, and he provides wise counsel to the President of the United States. This is what AOC doesn't get about men. Miller is a high-value man because he has power and influence, because he has vision, and he's on a mission to save this republic and protect Western civilization. He speaks with confidence and flair, and he's unafraid of anything. Now, AOC may have someone that's taller like Gavin, or someone has more distinguished characteristics like Adam Schiff, the senator, who talks like this, or someone with more wealth like Soros the Younger. But those men are not brave men. Those men did not protect the country when the country needed it. We had tests throughout the last couple of years, tests on crime, tests during COVID, and tests with immigration. And all of the men that AOC seems to value, they all failed the test, and they failed it miserably. Men who are high-value men like Stephen Miller take risks. They're brave, they're unafraid, they're confident, and they're on a mission, and they have younger wives with beautiful children. I think I just gave him like a dating recommendation.
I don't know, man. That was pretty creepy.
I love Stephen Miller. That's not clear. Clearly.
Yeah, Jessica, what do you...
All right. Let's do this. These couple of mighty, high-value, masculine men. I challenge hereby, just watching the clip, rewatching it, I'm going to say this. I challenge a charity boxing match. We can do MMA, whatever your dumb shit obsession would be. We can do it. Not just Jesse Waters. I will take on simultaneously Stephen Miller, mighty alpha man, and Jesse Waters simultaneously. 2 against 1. All the money we raise will go to charity. The charity of the choice of the winner of the bout. Who do you think would win that fight? That not a street brawl, something that is adjudicated with a referee in the ring. We follow rules. Who do you think, Jesse? Is it going to be you, mighty, brave, saving the republic and Western civilization? You and your buddy, Stephen Miller, whose apparently are so small that all of it can right into your Or will it be me? Will it be the former United States Marine, progressive, traditionally masculine? All of that's meaningless. But who would it be? Who do you think? Stephen Miller? Jesse Waters? I guess we'll let the audience decide. Enter MAGA trolls. Wow, we should start a poll. I wish I could do polls on videos so we could just run them and see. You going to accept the offer, Jesse Waters? I doubt it. What do you think out there? I would love to invite you to this conversation. You can talk about it in the comments below the video, wherever you're watching it. You know, a few years ago, I had t-shirts made up when I made the same offer to Tucker Carlson, which he never accepted. We had t-shirts with fight night, like Dollemore versus Tucker. I don't remember what they said, but it was a good time. Never raised any money because He never accepted the offer.
There's so many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children, and I think, in my view, you would have Lee Greenwood or role models doing that, not somebody like this.
You know, I noticed something about these Republicans. We'll keep it specific. I noticed something about Mike Johnson. That anytime there's a culture war, something that gets brought up that really is meaningless, that doesn't really matter at all, like, you know, Bad Bunny being the Super Bowl act in this Super Bowl in the coming few months, he knows all about it. He's got all kinds of information about it. He's got all kinds of opinions about it. But when he's asked about the releasing of the Epstein files, he doesn't know. If he's asked about Donald Trump, the fascist message before the generals, I didn't watch it. I don't know. Sorry, I'm too busy being speaker. When he's asked about any other item, he just doesn't know if it's something important. But when it's something that's culture war related, he's got all kinds of opinions. And that's where we are here. There's a journalist on the Hill named Pablo Manriquez. Pablo Reports is his Twitter account. And he asked Mike Johnson about this Bad Bunny thing. First of all, let me say this about the this for me was, I wasn't even going to talk about it because it doesn't move the needle. It's not important whatsoever at all. But because it's one of these culture war things. It's the same reason I didn't talk about what's the shitty restaurant with the bad food and the country store. You know what I'm talking about. Put the logo up. I can't think of it. I don't eat there because it's terrible. Not because of the logo. But when that thing broke, who cares? Who cares? The right wants to act like the left is apoplectic about the restaurant that I can't even think of the name of. They think we are pressing for Bad Bunny to be the musical guest at the Super Bowl. No one really cares about any of this shit. They're acting like, I saw a tweet yesterday that someone was saying the left is losing their minds because Donald Trump put gold in the Oval Office. We make fun of it, but nobody's losing their minds over it. Nobody's obsessed with it. Nobody's furious about it. It's the right wing that acts like maniacs about this stuff that no one cares about. Watch this. When Mike Johnson gets asked about Bad Bunny, and not only his stupid opinions, but they're manufactured out of just in the moment saying things that they're just like programmatic buzzwords. It's all troubling because this guy has more important shit to think about and talk about and attend to. Watch this.
Any reaction to Bad Bunny being chosen as the Super Bowl halftime performance?
I didn't even know who Bad Bunny was,
okay.
But it sounds like a terrible decision, in my view, from what I'm hearing. What's that?
How come?
Well, it sounds like he's not someone who appeals to a broader audience, and I think, there's so many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children, and I think, in my view, you would have Lee Greenwood or role models doing that, not somebody like this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cracker Barrel. I looked it up when the clip played. Cracker Barrel. That's the restaurant that I never go to because it's terrible. And I don't care about their logo either. But did you hear what he just said? Well, it sounds like he's not someone who appeals to a broader audience. Why? Because it's not an audience you are a member of? Because it's not Lee Greenwood? You want Lee Greenwood to headline the Super Bowl where superstars perform? Is that it? Mike Johnson. And I think, there's so many eyes on the Super Bowl, a lot of young, impressionable children. What is it about a Puerto Rican artist, an American artist, a superstar that would bother you? I mean, what would be the damage to impressionable children, Mike Johnson? What would be damaging to impressionable children, says the guy who's protecting a pedophile, who is doing everything he can, including not swearing in duly elected members of the House of Representatives who are going to vote to release the Epstein files? What say you, Mike Johnson? Please tell us. Your opinion on this matter means so much to us. We need to know how to protect impressionable children. from Spanish language music, I guess. And I think, in my view, you would have Lee Greenwood or role models doing that. Lee Greenwood is another grifter. How is he a role model? Not somebody like this. We are led by the stupid in this country. Mike Johnson is not a smart guy. Mike Johnson is just he's a more loyal version of Mike Pence, led by his superstitions and his interpretations of the mythology that he believes in. That's who he is. He's exactly Mike Pence, except maybe a little bit more closeted than Mike Pence. Which I guess would imply that Mike Pence is also closeted. What might be true, I don't know. These people are so afraid of who they are. They're so afraid of their own shadows. Listen, if you're afraid of Donald Trump, it says a lot about the things that you're afraid of. If you think Donald Trump is an intimidating force, now I'm just rambling. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think. I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. Or if you like telephonic communications, you can call, leave me a voicemail of fewer than 3 minutes. Please keep it brief. 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at Dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work financially. Not if you're on a fixed income, not if you're on disability, not if you're on retirement, not if you have to budget it in. But if you have $2 that you don't mind helping support this work and produce this work, please do. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member for $2 a month, or even better, because they take way less than YouTube. YouTube takes 30%. Go to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. They take way less money. We get more of it to use on creating content. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.